Two men, both 54, same lunch, same desk job, same waistline, give or take. One of them pushes back from the table and takes a 10-minute walk around the block. The other one, and honestly, this is most of us, leans back, opens his laptop, and answers emails while his body quietly panics. 3 hours later, one of them is sharp, energized, no cravings. The other is fighting a 3 p.m. crash so hard, he's thinking about his third coffee before he's finished his second. The difference isn't willpower, it isn't supplements, it's 10 minutes and a pair of shoes. Here's where it gets interesting. A 2022 meta-analysis in sports medicine analyzed the effect of short post-meal walks across multiple controlled trials. Walking for just 2 to 5 minutes after eating reduced the postprandial glucose spike. That's the blood sugar surge following a meal, by an average of 17%. 10 minutes pushed that number further still. Your blood sugar response after every single meal is one of the most underestimated health variables in your body. Not your fasting glucose, not the A1C checked once a year at your annual physical. The spike that hits in the 30 to 90 minutes after you eat, every day, multiple times a day. That's where metabolic damage compounds quietly over years. This is not a diabetes video. I'm not here to talk about medication or clinical interventions. What I'm talking about is a mechanism inside your muscles that most men over 40 have no idea exists, and a 10-minute habit that activates it on command. Stay with me, because about halfway through, I'm going to show you something about how your muscle cells absorb glucose that will completely change how you think about exercise timing. Don't skip that part. Let me show you what's actually happening. You finish lunch. Carbohydrates break down into glucose and flood into your bloodstream. Your pancreas detects this and starts firing insulin. Think of insulin as a delivery driver, racing to get glucose out of traffic and into your cells. Under normal conditions, this works fine. But here's the kicker. After 40, your cells become progressively less responsive to insulin's knock on the door. Your pancreas sends more drivers. The traffic gets worse. Glucose lingers at higher concentrations, causing what researchers call oxidative stress. Essentially, your blood vessels absorbing low-grade damage every single time this happens. A 2018 study in cardiovascular diabetology found that postprandial glucose spikes, even in people without diabetes, are independently associated with increased cardiovascular risk. Not fasting glucose. The spikes, the ones happening 3 times a day. Every day, your arteries are keeping score even when you're not. Now here's the part most people miss. And this is the reason a 10-minute walk is so disproportionately powerful. Your muscle cells have 2 completely separate entry systems for glucose. The first requires insulin, the normal delivery process. The second is independent of insulin entirely. It's triggered by muscle contraction. When your muscles move, they activate a transporter protein called GLUT4. Think of it as a secret side door that opens regardless of whether insulin is present or not. Your body treats this like a nuclear launch code. Muscle movement. That's the code. Nothing else required. A 2013 study in diabetes care compared older adults at risk for type 2 diabetes who took a single 45-minute walk per day versus those who took 3 15-minute walks after each meal. The post-meal walkers showed significantly better 24-hour blood sugar control. Same total exercise time. Radically different result. Because timing is the entire mechanism. You walk after eating, while glucose is actively entering your bloodstream and your muscles start consuming it directly, bypassing the insulin cue entirely. Here's a fact that should make you put down your phone for a second. The average desk worker sits for approximately 9 to 10 hours a day. And a study published in Diabetologia found that breaking up prolonged sitting with just light movement every 30 minutes improved blood sugar regulation more than a single continuous exercise session of equal total duration. Think of it this way. You're essentially a diesel truck. You need to move the load to burn the fuel. Park the truck right after a full tank, and the fuel just sits there pressurizing the system. The post-meal window, specifically those first 30 to 90 minutes after eating, is when your blood glucose is at peak elevation. That is the moment your muscles are most primed to act as a glucose sink. And most men are spending that exact window in a chair, on a couch, or behind a steering wheel. It's not a discipline problem. It's a timing problem. And nobody explained the timing. The protocol is almost insultingly simple, which means most people still won't do it. And that's a tragedy the medical system doesn't get paid enough to care about. Within 15 to 30 minutes of finishing a meal, walk at a comfortable pace for 10 minutes. Not a workout, not a power walk, a stroll, flat ground. No gear required. You can do it around your office building, around the block, or back and forth in your driveway if that's what you've got. A 2016 study in PLOS1 found that light walking after meals, defined as just 60 steps per minute, which is genuinely slow, was sufficient to blunt postprandial glucose spikes compared to sitting. You don't need to break a sweat to activate the mechanism. 3 meals, 3 10-minute walks, 30 minutes total. If you can only commit to one, do it after dinner. Your evening glucose regulation is the weakest window, and that post-dinner stretch before you sit down for 2 hours of television is quietly doing more metabolic damage than almost any other habit in your day. Drop a comment right now. Where are you watching from? And what's the one thing about blood sugar or metabolism you wish someone had explained to you sooner? I read every single one. Here's the bottom line. Your blood sugar spikes after every meal you eat. That's not disease. That's biology. But the size of those spikes and how long they stay elevated is something you have significant control over. And the most time-efficient lever you have costs you nothing. A 2023 review in the Journal of Sport and Health Science confirmed that consistent post-meal walking, practiced over 12 weeks, produced measurable improvements in HbA1c, the 3-month blood sugar average, in men with prediabetes. Not medication, not a gym membership. Walking, 10 minutes. After eating. That's the whole protocol. If something clicked for you here, subscribe. 1 video a week on exactly this kind of metabolic leverage. The mechanisms behind the habits, not just the habits themselves. And if you want to go deeper, the video on how to sequence your food to further flatten your glucose curve is linked right here. Start tonight, finish dinner, step outside, and give your body the 10 minutes it's been waiting for.